Now let's quickly look at this. So one of the most topical issue has to do with the 1 cedi on petrol, which has generated all kinds of debate as to whether or not it's a good idea or bad idea. I mean, economists and of course politicians have taken up this debate very, very passionately. What exactly happened? I mean, it was almost like it was a surprise which was sprung up on Ghanaians. We woke up one day, we're told the finance minister is going to Parliament to lay a bill in Parliament and to increase the ESLA from 95 to almost 2 cedis. What exactly happened? Were you aware such a thing was coming up? It was a surprise. Yes.
The surprise.
What happened?
No, I'm saying that yes. I'm saying the surprise is the fact that we had such a lax public financial management system, which reforms were stopped. So that at every moment, arrears keep popping up, debts unpaid keep popping up, right? And we are compounding it. We continue to do that, right? So, one, I think Honorable Jinapo, explained this. He's deeper at some of the. One, the structure for pricing itself, does not include a certain elements, right, which ordinarily should be in the structure. So that is being corrected in the short term, right? Because we need, money, for the liquid fuels until you can bring in, the green transition, which is part of the name of the ministry now. So he explained that element. So there's a structural element to it. 2, there's a choking debt, right, which needs to be paid, and for which reason you cannot divert revenues to, make sure that, you continue importing and whatever. So this is where austerity measures come in. You do austerity, and austerity in principle should not, last more than, that's why IMF programs are 3 years, at most 3.5 years, maximum if you extend 4 years, because it's expected that the economy is going through some hiccup and it can be corrected, and what we have to do, homegrown, right, is to domesticate, to use another, familiar Ghanaian word, the policies we are talking about, to manage the oscillations that take place in the economy on our own. So much of what I have said are not new. Strategic stocks, sinking fund, and all those, we started them. Those are the mechanisms you need to control debt, to control your, the new element is, can we apply the same thing to the exchange rate reserves, now that we know that in addition to cocoa, which was the dominant, because much of gold, by the traditional, miners was being taken out. We got some retention. But now we are collecting the gold, which is, the subject of Ganamse and the president said which will be streamlined, right? Can we get this, in place? So yes, there's a short-term shock, which we are managing, and surprises which are adding to that shock. Right.
These are things you're finding out after coming into government?
Oh, yes.
You didn't know before?
No, they were not in the transition notes. Otherwise, I would have prepared for them. Otherwise, maybe there will be a little bit of slackening in removing some of the levies. Remember, some of the levies were removed. Some of them are going to be removed as we start the structural reforms. Going back to what we're doing as we start the structural reforms. So when you talk about that particular levy, there's going to be structural reforms going forward. And the president alluded to this, in an interview when he was signing. He said, one, we are going to lock the money that's flowing in, right? I'm sure you saw that. We are not going to allow, and he posted a warning to the minister and the governor that we are not going to allow you to put that money into the general consolidated fund, use it, which is from our practice, where ESLA and others were put mainstreamed, even the money that was borrowed against them was mainstreamed and whatever. So he posted those. And then he said we would also aim, to put a sunset clause on it. Right? Otherwise you can't reintroduce it when you have crisis.
Yes.
Right. So he made this qualification when he was signing. I was there, he made this qualification when he was signing. So the issue with the levy is that as part of the structural measures, the present structure will be critically examined. Yeah,
but how different is that going to be from the toll levy? We've been paying toll levies for God knows how long. In fact, ESLA, it was abused. with careless abandon, and there were not even any punitive
no,
measures.
But I'm saying, why don't you throw the question to those who mismanage it?
The PMF Act. Why did the PMF Act not punish ministers as the ultimate, but rather punishes junior officers?
No. The PFMA, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. Anybody who is culpable, anybody who is culpable,
even including the minister, even the minister.
Why not? The minister is a spending officer in the law, right?
Okay.
Yes. If you look at the definitions. So everybody from minister, deputy ministers, if you look at the definition, they are giving titles, chief directors and others.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. And it came into effect in 2016.
Yes. Yes. But courtesy to you because you played a key role in that. But we're yet to see that happen.
I think it was. You remember it was happening at that level.
Yes.
And we know that story.
Yeah, we do.
They started enforcing it. So. Part of the issue is the sustainability of these policies. But the point I want to make...
So you don't intend us to pay this 1 cedi on petrol forever? We're not going to collect this forever. At some point, it would end. There's going to be a sunset.
No, okay. This is what we used to have.
Yes.
From ERP sub-days.
Yes.
There were 2 levies. That came in and went out. The first one is the fiscal stabilization levy.
Yes.
Or the national stabilization levy.
Yes.
The second one was the temporary import duty.
Yes.
Right. Some of the levies are actually excise duties.
Right.
Pollution and whatever. So those ones are excise duty. Mm-hmm. The ones that come in, okay, so these 2 levies, right, let me backtrack a bit. These 2 levies were the ones that we brought in to complement expenditure management when we went into an IMF program.
Okay.
And they terminated with the IMF program. Under the 2015 ECF, which left after we left office, they were not terminated. Right? That's how come you have to bring in new levies anytime you went into the crisis. So, what I'm saying is that we should learn to we should let these policies be sustained.
Okay.
It's about sustaining them.
Okay.
And we'll be able to manage this economy. And that's what the emerging economies, the advanced economies, that's what they do. And by the way, let me end on this note. I say that there's a bit of fidgeting taking place. President Mahama said he's keen on bringing in the ENIs. Talo has already... is the Cosmos of Talo. They are going back to get the fields and others. Ghana became a lower middle income country on account of an expanding services sector, which is now larger than agric. On account of 1 oil field, before we could get to 3.
Yes.
We had moved from a low income country to, a lower middle income country, right? So these 2, and then the rebasing of the GDP as a consequence is what made us a lower middle income country.
Okay.
If we bring in, now we have 3 oil fields. If we bring in a 4th, a 5th, depending on quantity, even above 100,000 barrels per day or whatever, we are going to become an upper middle income country. We are going to lose more grants and more concessional financing. And so we might as well bring back the bond markets, our domestic bond market, manage it well, through, the sinking fund and pay those who want, their money.
Okay.
We might as well, go back to the external bond market, but manage, the loans we take, very well through these instruments.